And everything in us wants to do the opposite, and yet the Spirit of God resides in us, and we go, no, I'm not going to be moved by that. How many people know we can all use a little bit more self-control, especially the person beside you? No, not them, the other side. And so this is the case. So we live by the Spirit because the Spirit of God produces these things in us. It doesn't say we can go get them. We can't pick them up. We can't buy them. We can't find them. Our church attendance ain't going to make us better at them. But the Spirit of God produces them in us. Love, joy, peace, etc. Finally, we said that to live a forbearing life, we must be a fruit-bearing Christian. In other words, we've got to show and demonstrate these fruit. These fruit aren't necessarily fruit that we get like gifts. These fruit are the demonstration of our obedience and our submission to the work of the Spirit in our lives. You can't pick these up. You don't go to the grocery store and pick up these fruit. You can't buy them. You can't barter for them. You can't say, well, if I sit beside somebody at church who has that, maybe I'll get it. No, it doesn't wear off. Your best bet's to be close to somebody who's close to Jesus, and then you'll get closer to Jesus because you're with them. I said in my youth ministry years many times, I said, you show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Kids would say, who should I hang out with? I said, well, you pick who you hang out with, but you show me your friends and I'll tell you where you'll be in 20 years. Because who you spend time with determines who you become. You say, no, that's not true. It works every time, so if it's not true, you must be the exception. But yet if I spend time with people who are in the Spirit, I become a person who's in the Spirit because I'm with them. Paul says, listen, don't do it on your own. Come together. Walk in the Spirit. Be together. Then he goes on to another kind of bearing. That's fruit bearing. Then he goes on to a different kind of bearing. Maybe one that we've misunderstood. Maybe one that we forget about. He goes on to talk about this new one. He calls it burden bearing. Galatians chapter 6 verse 2 says this, bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill. There's that law again. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Burden bearing. I get fruit bearing. I get that. You plant, you water, you grow, you bear fruit. That's how it works. I get that. But burden bearing, what's Paul talking about when he talked about burdens? Now, let's go back to the context. Paul's talking to Galatians. They're remote people, they're small groups of people, they're pockets of people in rural areas, and some of them are people who have been slaves and servants for many years. And now he talks about burden bearing. I was on the phone I guess it's a week ago now. I was on the phone and I was in a discussion with someone, and I was trying to help them understand the situation that they were in and why they were there, and I was trying to work through with them, sort of saying, you know what, in a conflict, everybody has to own some part of the problem. And so I listened through the conversation and kind of talked through the stuff with the person, and about 15 minutes into the call, I discovered that no matter what I said, and no matter how often I said it, I probably could have spoken in Spanish, Greek, or Hebrew. At the end of that call, the person I was talking to in no way, no shape, no form was going to bear any responsibility for the trouble. So I'm into this call thinking, okay, they're not seeing that they're part of the problem. All they're seeing is the other person is completely wrong. Because how many people know we're never to blame? It's always them. Yeah. We don't believe that now, but in the moment sometimes we do. And so I said, could it be possible? Just submitting an idea. Could it be possible that? No. Okay. Could it be possible that? No. Okay. Could it be possible that? No way. No, that's not. You're not listening to me. Okay. Could it be possible? No matter which way, there was going to be no weight of responsibility. None. I mean, I was really trying just to bring it together. And so at the end of that call, I thought, there is something to be said for burden bearing. My series are prepared long before the week of the sermon, and so I find it amazing how God orchestrates things coming up to messages. And so I can tell you story after story that happens as I approach a message, and I go, man, I was thinking about this a month ago. I was thinking about this 2 months ago, and these things just sort of line up. My illustrations usually come the week before I deliver the message. And at the end of the call, they said, Pastor, I don't think you understand what this person did to me. I guess not. But how many people know relationships are fragile? And it takes two people. Blame is never one-sided, but together we have to walk in the unity of the Spirit and work through these things. Paul says, this is burden bearing. He goes, some of you have been slaves and you've carried the full weight, the full load. Maybe you've been in this spot where you've applied for a job, and part of the description for the job has been, it must be self-motivated,